If there's one thing that causes tension between buyers and sellers and realtors, it's the infamous Zillow, and more specifically, the beloved Zestimate. Is the Zestimate accurate or is it not? In this video, I wanted to give a non-biased opinion on if the Zestimate is accurate. And yes, I'm a realtor, so it may seem non-biased, but hear me out. Let's get to the bottom of it. But before we get to the bottom of it, if you look to the bottom of this, or actually maybe the top, I'm not sure where it is, I just wanted a cool transition. Look for the subscribe button. We'd be honored if you did subscribe, and it keeps you updated with when we put new stuff out, and it just kind of helps us grow. So we'd be honored if you did that, and of course leave us some feedback. But let's get into it. So if you are the one of two people that live under a rock and you're not familiar with what Zillow and Zestimates are, essentially Zillow is a really user-friendly website that people can use to search for homes that are for sale or even for rent. And one of the things that they do is for every property, whether it's on the market or not, they put a Zestimate on it, which is essentially an estimate of what they think your house or that house is actually worth. If you're a homeowner, a Zestimate is awesome because everybody wants to know what their house is worth. So it's as easy as going on the site, looking up your property address or any other property address and seeing easily what the Zestimate is. As a buyer, a Zestimate is great because it gives you a feel for certain price points and areas, and if your budget allows you to get into your desired area. But also if you're on the house hunt, you can see what a house is listed at and you can see what the Zestimate is to see if it's overpriced or even underpriced, and you can get a deal on it. So the big issue at hand here is the Zestimate accurate or is it not? So the tension that brews is when a buyer or seller sees that Zestimate, and it gives them a sense of, empowerment that they know just as much or more than a realtor. When a realtor actually uses MLS data and comparables and the market conditions to come up with a price, and they're not really paying attention to the Zestimate. So you often hear from a buyer or seller, well, the Zestimate says, and that's a triggering phrase to a realtor because we don't really care what the Zestimate says. So again, the question, is the Zestimate accurate? This is where I'm going to put my non-biased hat on to kind of dig into things. So let's do it. I will start off with telling you what Zillow is really, really good at. They are synced up directly to the MLS, so they know what's active, they know what's pending, they know what has sold, and they are collecting all of that data to put into an algorithm or some sort of calculation to come up with your Zestimate. So everything around the subject property that has sold, they're taking those numbers and they're putting it into that algorithm and calculation, which produces the Zestimate. That being said, if you live in a cookie cutter neighborhood where everything around you is relatively similar in condition and size and all that stuff, your Zestimate very well could be very accurate. Now let me tell you what Zillow is not the best at. They don't know the motivation of sellers. So if one of the comps that they're using, the seller was super motivated and they slashed the price and sold it at a discount, guess what? They're still using that as a comp to price your house. They also don't know updates of the houses. So if you're, I'll use the example of an older cottage house that could have some quirks in the floor plan or some foundation issues, or this other house has really updated marble counters and it just isn't the most comparable, Zillow doesn't care about that. They're only collecting the data and the numbers of what it's sold for and how big it is to compare it to your subject property. When it comes to pricing a property, yes, data is extremely important. It's one of the most important things. However, other important things are you need to know condition, you need to know motivation, you need to know market conditions, you need to know what kind of finishes, if there's pools, if the lots are bigger, all that stuff goes into play to specifically price your property, comparing it to everything else that is sold. So at the end of the day, Zillow does a really great job at collecting all of this data, and they have a really complex calculation and algorithm to give you the Zestimate. However, they are not looking at your specific property, its specific quirks or updates or condition to really give you the most accurate depiction on what your house is worth. So I don't think the Zestimate should take the place of meeting with a realtor or two or three trusted and professional realtors to get their take on what it's worth. If it's different than the Zestimate, get them to explain and justify why. They know market conditions, they know buyer activity and expectations these days. So it's really important to get and do your due diligence on what your house is worth. So there you have it. Surprise, surprise, my non-biased opinion pointed you in the direction of a realtor. I want to emphasize I'm not a Zillow hater. I think it's a great tool for sellers and home buyers. I think it creates some really healthy discussion and some thought process with you and your property that you should be having with a realtor. So I don't think Zillow should take the place of a realtor, but by all means use it to search your heart out. But anyway, we'd love to get your feedback on the matter. We'd love to hear your thoughts, your challenges. Leave them in the comments and we can get back to you, or reach out to us directly. You can go to the sanduskygroup.com and click on the What's My Home Worth tab if you want to reach out and get a market analysis and you want to compare it to the Zestimate to see how we stack up. But anyway, hope this brought you some value. We'd love to hear back from you, and I'll see you next time.
Thanks so much for watching our video. Our goal is to provide as much value to you as possible. Make sure to subscribe, like, comment, and all that stuff, and check out our other videos. And here's 2 options for you. Go check them out.